Welcome to your Monday Night Fulham Fix, the fortnightly show about everything Fulham for you guys, the fans, and joining me as always, a product of the Fulham Academy and Fulham hero, Sean Davis.
How you doing, mate?
I'm
you
good,
right?
Mal. How are you?
Yes, very good.
Loving,
thank you.
Loving this top, looking very, very smart.
New present.
Yeah. You know
From the powers that be.
Exactly. Not me.
I've moaned it in. I've moaned it in.
You wanted one of those for a while.
Yeah, I have. I just need to get the bottoms now.
Yeah, you're going to be done.
Yeah.
Just a walking sponsorship
Perfect.
for the Fulham shop. You're looking very, very good. And a man who's one of the main reasons why the Fulham Academy is seen as one of the very best in the country is the Academy Director, Huw Jennings. Huw, how are you?
Very good, thank you. I'm a bit concerned I'm wearing a blue jumper. I probably should have thought about that beforehand, shouldn't I?
I mean, now you've brought it up. It was quite dark blue. I mean,
yeah, it is.
If it was a lighter blue, I think we'd have a lot of angry comments coming in.
We had a training kit in this colour for a while, so
that's
we
why
sort of got away with it.
See what you've done there. Yeah.
Retro.
We'll let it go. We'll let it go. Right, first up, as always, it's our big three. Okay, and this is where we look back over the last couple of weeks in the world of Fulham at the big three talking points. And we'll start with a really positive one, really exciting one. Is Bobby DeCordova-Reid signing on a permanent. He was our guest on the last Fulham Fix. Absolutely top bloke. And a great advocate for the club, and fully deserved. I know you're a big fan.
Yeah, very big fan. He probably knew, actually. He probably knew that he was going to sign a new deal. Maybe he didn't give us an exclusive, but now he's, as proven by his goal on Saturday, he's high on confidence.
Ridiculous
goals, he always needed that one goal, and he's a player that can play in many positions. Sometimes that's a hindrance, but as you've seen over the season, he's been ever present, and yeah, I'm very happy for him, and hopefully he's obviously committed to the club now. And
yeah.
Hopefully be a Premiership player next year.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Huw, are you a big fan of Bobby's?
Well, indeed, but going back a few years, Bobby used to play against teams that I was involved with from Bristol City as a youngster. He was there for a long time and always been highly rated. I have to say, suits our style tremendously in comparison to the perception of Cardiff. I'm not quite sure that was a great move for him.
No, it was an interesting one. I mean, even he sort of admitted, I can't remember if it was on and off camera, that it was you know, he went to Cardiff, but just really wasn't feeling the style of play. It didn't
probably desire to play in the Premier League, because obviously.
Well, then he came to the right place, didn't he?
At the time,
oh, you mean going to Cardiff?
Yeah, going to Cardiff, he desired, but obviously, sometimes it doesn't always work out, does it? It's always,
no.
Grass isn't always greener on the other side when you leave clubs, but hopefully he's found his second home now. Obviously, Bristol was always going to be close to him, but
yeah,
let's hope.
But the fans love him. We touched on this before in the fact that even at the start of the season, for the first few months of our campaign, he wasn't really scoring, but still was putting in such a shift and looking so good that the fans just loved him.
Bobby's versatility is one of his great strengths. He can play a whole range of positions, as Sean alluded to, and in the running, I think that's going to be really key for us.
Yeah. Our big talking point number 2 is 4 points from the last 2 games. Has us in third in the table. Just 4 points from the top of the league, which a month ago we were 11, 12 points from the top. This is, although maybe disappointing not to take 6 points from the last 2 games, it's still not bad. And where we are is, it's exciting, especially looking on to February, and with so many games as well in February.
I think bringing the Charlton game forward, there was a concern that if we didn't take the 3 points, was it a missed opportunity? But with Leeds losing on Saturday at home to Wigan a bit of a bogey team, aren't they, for Leeds, then actually it's a point gained at Charlton. You know, if you look at our form over a longer period of time, the last 9 games, I think, 6 wins, 2 draws and 1 defeat. Yeah. That's promotion winning form.
Yeah. And, you were saying the sort of game, because you think we're going to get
automatic, yeah. Well, you think and hope. I think, as we've said all along before, I think on paper and the team and the squad,
we should be right up. This is where we should be.
We should be up there. Yeah. I think this team's better than the team that performed in the Premier League last year.
Yeah.
I think it's got some, a lot of young players coming through as well. But you got a lot of players that seem to kind of like playing with each other. They kind of, when they score a goal, you can always tell they're all celebrating together. They're not just one running off. It's like everyone's all together. There seems like there's Scotty's got them playing for each other, which is half the battle won when you obviously go in for promotion. Yeah, but yeah, it is. So team spirit is vital in these circumstances, because we've had a lot of blips, but we seem to come back after the blip.
A lot of blips, a lot of injuries as well. I mean, it's been sort of tough to deal with. You were saying that there's the 3 big games for you now for the end of the season to make promotion, automatic promotion, doable. A real strong possibility are.
Well, I think if you look at Leeds away, West Brom away and Brentford at home, if you were to take 9 points in those games, not only do you advance your own cause, but you really affect your opponent's cause, stating the obvious to a degree. But I think they can be really big turning points.
Yeah.
Sean's right, the inconsistency has been a factor, and Scott's fully aware of that, but actually not having that many draws is probably to our advantage at the moment. So the occasional defeat that's got in the way and been frustrating, even a run of defeats, actually has been nullified by the fact we've been winning a lot of games as well.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Fingers crossed, February's going to be a very, very exciting month. Number 3, our big talking point of the last couple of weeks is Mr. Marek Rodak, shown himself to be, a really quality keeper, and a lot of love for him on Twitter and amongst the Fulham fans. I think I read someone saying it was our best keeper since Mark Schwarzer. And I mean, he's pulled off some incredible saves. Arguably, our Huddersfield game might have been a very, very different result if he hadn't made probably 2 or 3 very, very key game-changing saves. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely, and Marek's journey with us from 16 years of age when he arrived from Slovakia to get to where he is now, it's fantastic. And but Marcus Bettinelli's been a favourite here, very closely associated with the club, the whole Bettinelli family, with Vic, his father is goalkeeping coach and Laura is academy physio. But for Marek to come up on the rails, take the number 1 spot when the opportunity arose, and put in the performance he has, fantastic.
It's incredible, isn't it? And then you've seen, you checked out some of his saves as well from the Huddersfield game. Outrageous, right? Yeah,
great save, especially the one late on. I think he's come across, he's volleyed it, and he's managed to not get a good strong hand, because sometimes they can just palm him down in front, but he's got good, strong, solid wrists, and he's got it far away out of the danger. So, no, listen, for a young goalkeeper as well, goalkeepers now they seem to be getting younger, but when I was like 25, 26, 27, they normally get better with age. But I was a big Betts fan, but he's come in and he's kept the shirt, and that's all you can do. That's all, as a player as well, that's all you can ask. If you're given the opportunity, if you do well, you stick to it. I think in 2-3 years ago, maybe it was a bit chop and changey, but obviously Betts was in, and then obviously he came out. Rodak's gone in there, he's done well, and Scott, he said, listen, if you play well, you keep the shirt, and that's how it should be.
I think it's worth mentioning as well, especially as we're sitting in the dugout, you've got Bettinelli just sort of right by me, and the support he shows every time Rodak does any sort of big save, he's up there, he's cheering, he's yelling for him. That's great.
Goalkeepers union.
It is.
There is a goalkeepers union, and they stick together through thick and thin.
Yeah, so. No, it's great. I love it. What's he like as a person? Because obviously you worked with him in the academy for a while. What's he like?
Yeah, Marek's a quiet guy. He's understated. He's got that little bit of a sort of stoop because he's so tall. So he's sort of like bend when he's upright, sort of talking to you. But
it's probably because he's hit his head on so many things in the past.
But rest assured, he's got an inner drive, an inner belief, an inner desire that demonstrates he's there to keep the shirt. And it's fantastic because we had the whole goalkeeping squad, if you like, associated with the first team from the academy until Jordan Archer came in. So it gives everybody in the club a boost when you see the young players coming in what, after all, is a vulnerable position. Yeah. Because your mistakes are magnified. And for Marek, obviously, getting sent off.
Yeah. It's an unfortunate start, I think.
Absolutely. And he's now shown his true worth with some late saves that have earned us points.
Yeah. It's important. It's important as well if you're going for automatics as well. If
goalkeepers are normally different kind of to everyone else. Is he not a Fruit Loop like the goalkeeper?
Who was it that said? Was it Joe Bryan just said he's mad?
Yeah, he did. He's mad. You have to be mad to be a goalkeeper, I think.
All goalkeepers. Yeah.
Well, nowadays, to be fair, there's more emphasis on them playing out from the back.
Yeah.
So if you struggle with your feet as a goalkeeper now, it's highly unlikely you're going to progress. It seems that way, doesn't it?
And he seems good with his feet.
He is, and one of the interesting things, having spent a long time on loan learning his trade, I mean, he's played probably over 150 senior games now, which is pivotal to why he can make the step at the moment, I think, because he's inexperienced in the eyes of Fulham fans at Fulham, but he's reasonably experienced with a number of senior games, particularly at his age. But he's been at clubs predominantly where it's been Route 1. When he was at Accrington, when he was at Rotherham, generally speaking, you're clearing your lines, whereas the expectation here is to play out. And I think he's shown a lot of composure to do that, but he's not been averse to saying, actually, no, I'm putting this in row Z, which from time to time you have to do.
Yeah,
I think for us it's important to see that, because sometimes when we're playing our stuff, it's all good playing out from the back, which is what we want to see, but there is times when it does need to go quicker.
Just lamp it. Lamp into the Thames.
Not so much lamp it, just get it up there in an area where Mitrovic is going to make the defenders uncomfortable anyway. Yeah. So he could win a foul, we could get the second ball. But sometimes when we do play short, I think he has had the kind of experience, like you say, from his loans to go, do you know what, it's got to go now, bang, let's go, and just get up the pitch. So
I've noticed particularly that Marek has worked out how best to play into Alexander's strengths, if you like.
Yeah.
And I think that's a key attribute for us, because we've got a combination of outlets, haven't we? Play out, play wide, which has been a feature now of goalkeepers playing out to get it into the fullback in a wide position. But dropping a ball into a striker is a real key. You know, if you've got that in your locker, it's a great skill.
Definitely can agree more. And also man of the match as well for the game against Huddersfield. Deserved, I think, fair to say.
Yeah, well, we were a long time at 3-2, weren't we? You know,
it was stressful.
That second half was testing.
It really was. But he also made it into the EFL Team of the Week. That was out today, and again, very deserved, and testament to the keeper that he is and what he's becoming and what he did in that game. So amazing stuff. And also worth mentioning right now, great to have Mitro back as well, because there was a worry he was going to be out for a while, but I think was it 2 weeks? Yeah.
Well, we thought it'd be longer than that.
We really did, didn't we?
It's a bonus.
Fantastic. Great to have him back. Huw, now you joined. We're going to talk a little bit now about your work at our very, very successful academy, where players like Rodak are able to come through and perform in the way they do. You started as our Academy Director back in 2008. Tell us a little bit about how you got into the industry, because it wasn't it was a unique way, right? A little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose at the time it was maybe a little bit more the norm that boring old crusty school teachers like myself with the old arm patches on were doing a lot, in my case, of coaching, both in a school context and also in a district context. And then when professional football clubs got serious about developing young players through age groups, they needed people who were going to take part in that program. So I joined Oxford United initially. I was teaching up in that area. Was there for 10 years.
Was that like the first job you'd gone for in that? Was it a totally spontaneous thing? Like, I fancy doing that. I fancy going for that. Or was it something where you're like, no, I want to change. This is what I want to do.
Well, so Malcolm Elias, who's with us on the recruitment side, Malcolm was seconded, would you believe, from his teaching job to go and be the youth development officer at Oxford United.
Okay. And
he looked for a team of people to go and support the work that he was doing there, and looked to see who was out there in the school sector, because at that point there were very few coaching opportunities in the professional game. There was the youth team coach. That was predominantly it. And then maybe somebody who looked after the associate schoolboys from 14 years of age, when I anticipated Sean probably joined Fulham. And outside of that, there were very few coaches. So a group of us, I actually started coaching alongside Les Taylor, who is the former captain of Oxford, and played at Reading as well, and also at Watford. And he was working as a hospital porter in Bicester.
Really?
And part-time came in to coach the Centre of Excellence, as it was called then. I was one of the others, and it was a great apprenticeship. And then when academies came on full time in 1998, I took the plunge with Southampton and left my full-time teaching job. Yeah.
And I mean, you had an incredible run at Southampton. Responsible for bringing in some absolute world-class players: Theo Walcott, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Gareth Bale. What is it that you look for in up-and-coming talent? What did these guys show you in your time at Southampton?
Yeah, because all of their journeys are very, very different. And from my perspective, what I've learnt over the years is it's those who manage disappointment and demonstrate and acquire resilience. That is the key. Often, because all of those guys had disappointments. Theo had some bad injuries when he was a younger player. Gareth Bale struggled with his growth and maturation. Alex, as an August birthday, played down a year for a number of years because he hadn't physically matured. So all of those guys, how they dealt with that set them apart.
Really? I find that fascinating.
He's spot on when he says that, because football is such a roller coaster of emotions. One week he can be villain, next hero. So it's kind of, you try and tell the young players, how can you just do your work day in, day out and stay middle grounded. So don't get too excited if you play well, don't get too down if you have a bad game. That is the toughest. And then probably a good example of that would be Ryan Sessegnon as well. He had a fantastic attitude towards just life in general. I think if you're kind of a good person, you're humble, you keep yourself to yourself, and you want to work hard and have that mental toughness, you've got half a chance.
How much of that, though, as well, is the academy they're in looking after them and sort of treating them right? And because if they're handling it badly, is there a way that you're able to put an arm around them and say, look, it's all right, this happens, you're able to just takes your time. Don't panic.
One of the ways we try to operate, we attribute a key value to us, which is closer and more personal, and I think that's how we can make a difference over some of the sort of shiny spaceship type academies.
Yeah,
which have got great facilities, but actually, get beneath those. What are they like in terms of the work? A really key appointment for us is Lee Hagger. Lee Hagger is head of our player care. It's now mandatory to have a head of player care. We appointed Lee 5 years ago from his then role in head of education. And he runs a fantastic program to support the young players, both some of those life skill opportunities, but also actually the personal quality and touch, and that's pivotal. And I think it's one of the reasons why some of those players have been able to thrive.
Yeah. Well, some of the players that had their first team debuts whilst you've been director at Fulham, again, now I don't know if this was a crossover. Was Chris Smalling when you just joined, I think?
Chris was at the club, yeah.
Yeah,
Chris
when
was
you
at the club already.
His debut was 2008, and then Alexander Kacaniklic, Moussa Dembele, Dan Byrne, Corley Woodrow, Patrick Roberts, Emerson Heinemann, and Marcus Bettinelli, Ryan Sessegnon, Stephen Sessegnon, Harvey Elliott, Marek Rodak, and obviously most recently Jay Stansfield. You look at those, and from a Fulham fan's point of view, I mean, they make up such a big part of our club and our history. It's so exciting. What is it about the Fulham Academy that means we're able to bring through such quality?
That'd be a half-decent team, that wouldn't it?
That would be a really good team. I was just looking at that.
Taking on
very
the
attacking.
Yeah, really.
That's a good point, actually. Dan Byrne,
a couple of keepers.
Dan Byrne and Chris Smalling would have to do all the defending, wouldn't they?
They would.
Play all four positions.
They would.
I think that what you've got with that group of players, and thinking about all those individuals, an inner drive and desire to succeed, and I think in spite of challenges that they may have faced, that humility that is critical to success. We operate under a sort of acronym of 3 H's, so hard work, honesty, and humility. And I think if you look at the very best players around the football world, most of them embody that.
Yeah.
People might not describe Ronaldo necessarily as having a lot of humility, but by
hard work,
his work, he works harder than anyone.
Yeah.
And I think if you can show that you've got those qualities, the 3 H's as we call them, then you give yourself a much better opportunity than those who frankly don't put the shift in.
What would you say, Sean, I mean, you obviously joined our academy. We'll get to that in a second, because obviously it's a slightly different time back there, a different sort of academy.
Yeah.
But what is it that makes us such an attractive place for youth players to come to?
I think the proof's in the pudding. I think the pathway's there. I think for young players, I think you need to, you can't get to a certain age and not play with men's football. And I think the opportunity to come here, and if you're good enough, you are going to get given the opportunity to play first team football. I think if you're at, no disrespect to them, they're massive clubs, obviously, your Man Cities, your Man United. So is the pathway as clear in their teams? Is it going to be easier? Don't get me wrong, Ryan Sessegnon probably might have got in the Liverpool team or the Man United team at the same age. I'm not sure.
I think
the opportunity,
I know what
and obviously the experience that we've had with the young players that they've dealt with that's come through the academy, it's seen that we are pushing, and especially with a manager like Scotty Parker, who was a youth team coach as well. Yeah, he's gonna, if you're good enough, and it doesn't matter how old you are, you're gonna get an opportunity, and I think that's vital. Especially if I was a young player now, I'd have a pathway. What's the pathway? Can I play first team football? I want to be a professional footballer as soon as possible. Who's going to give me that opportunity? And I think Fulham are up there, with that ethos.
Definitely. And you're right with Scott Parker, didn't he manage Onoma at youth level? Am I right in thinking that? And he's brought him through, he's championed him, and he stuck by him as well. And again, looking like a top player for us at the moment.
Well, Scott knows our academy. He knows academy from youth coaching. Scott's a dad in our academy as well. Murphy, his son, is in our under-15s, and so
I didn't know that. Actually, did you know that?
So he sees it from a range of sides, and to have that is manna from heaven for our program.
And how full on is he with the academy? Does he come and watch? Is there someone giving him constant updates on particular players and their progress? Has he always got fingers in pies sort of thing?
Yeah, so Scott comes to watch as often as he can, and we had a meeting only last week to talk about the players transitioning between a youth program and the senior programs. Probably about an hour and a half we spent going over the main players with potential. But we also utilise Steve Wigley a lot Steve is head of player development.
Great
and,
coach.
Steve has coached. Yeah,
Great
you were with
coach.
him at
He
Bolton,
was,
weren't
yeah,
you,
he's
Sean? Yeah.
top quality coach.
Yeah.
And
Knows young players as well, doesn't he?
absolutely, and
Inside
it's his passion. He's managed in the Premier League, Steve. He's been involved in the England setup, but also he knows about youth development, particularly sort of 16 to 21-year-olds. And then in Mark Pembridge and Colin Imogbahim, we've got two academy stalwarts who have been around the programme a long time. And there's a lot of consistency there with our staff who know what it takes for the young players to make the steps, and working alongside the likes of Stuart Gray as well in the first team coaching environment, who also has got that bit of experience to know how, when and where a player can make a step.
Yeah. I know, at what point can you tell that you've got a special player on your hands? Because obviously there's a number of academy players, and they don't all make it. And how can you tell the ones that you think, okay, that's one we've got a special one there, we've got to keep an eye on that one?
Yeah, I mean, anyone who tells you that, oh yes, it's automatic, it's not true. You know, in you referenced Gareth Bale, that was a long, long time before we realised. In fact, actually, it was George Burley who came in as the manager of Southampton who asked me. He said, "How long have you got him? How long's the contract on him?" I said, "Yeah, a couple of years." He said, "Make it longer because this boy's special." And it took somebody from the outside to actually view him, because you sort of, when on the journey the players go through, if you're not careful, you spend a bit of time looking at the things they can't do, as opposed to what they can do.
Yeah,
and that's the critical piece. But look, you know, the first time you see a Walcott, you see the pace and direct play that he had. With a Ryan, the moment he trained in the first team environment, you knew that he could do it.
Yeah.
Harvey Elliott was very, very similar. But there are others who take longer. And the skill, I think, of the youth developer is knowing where and when a player can be ready to go into a first team environment.
Right. Sean, you came through the academy with us back in '96. How was it back then? How different was it?
It's very. See, it feels like ours was very random, because we'd literally, youth team would train on one side, first team would train there, and literally if someone got injured from the first team, it'd be like, "Oh, go on, you go over." It didn't. There wasn't really any. No disrespect to how it worked.
No.
For us, training right next to the first team was the best feeling, because you'd think, God, I just want to get a chance to go and train with the first team. And we did, to be fair, as a youth team, we did get a lot of opportunities to train with the first team, but it's a lot different nowadays. Obviously, ours was very old school, come in early, do all the jobs, clean the showers, clean all the boots, which some things I think are good on that sense.
Good for discipline, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it it gives you that mental toughness, and we talk about it now as players. We used to clean the boots and boot the pros, and no, that's not good enough, and throwing the boots away, and then the second years shutting the lights off and beating up the first years. Obviously, that doesn't happen now.
No.
But that
were you ever given
was
a
how it
wedgie or
was.
anything like that?
That's how it was. When you were a first year, you used to come in, and the lights used to go off, and you used to get like boot polish on your face, you get fingers in the eyes.
Wow.
But obviously, it was if you didn't have a kind of toughness about you, could easily fold. Do you know what I mean? And some things I wish they've got rid of is things like that. I think because bullying and stuff like that. It's not good. But yeah, it was a lot different in my day. A lot different. Yeah. But I enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. We when we were in the youth team, we used to be the ball boys on the pitch.
Oh really?
Yeah. Mickey Adams used to say, as soon as the ball goes off, and it's ours, give it back as quick as possible. And if it's them, take your time. Yeah. Mickey Adams used to hammer us if we didn't give the ball back quick enough.
Really?
Yeah. We used to get absolutely hammered.
That was kind of your first chance to really impress Mickey Adams, was it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Because we actually, as the youth team, we laid the track around the pitch on Craven Cottage.
Really?
We got the wheel back. We had a game the next day. The next day we were all our backs are in pieces.
No way?
Yeah, weeding the terraces. We've done all of that.
Serious?
Yeah. To be fair, it wasn't long. I think a year, 2 years after, John Marshall was the youth team coach. Yeah. But then Alan Smith came in, and then all of that stopped.
Right, okay.
I think that was 98, 99 when the Academy started?
Yeah, when Academy started, the PFA...
All that stopped, yeah.
The PFA and the leagues got together and said they had to outlaw the menial tasks. In fact, actually, unfortunately, an apprentice lost their lives at Burnley, I think it was, fell off the roof.
What? Really?
Yeah,
oh my God!
Maybe the 80s, yeah.
But, oh my God!
A lot of what Sean says, we try to take with us into the modern era. So we do operate a sort of tough love type mantra. The lights are on permanently though.
Yeah.
But if you look at some of those things, so Scott will utilise the youth team and members of the 23 squad on a regular basis. The youth team acts as the shadow team in preparation of first team games. It's a great experience for them to understand the intricacies of tactical appreciation at first team level. And our under sort of 15s act as ball boys, you know.
Right.
So yeah, we bring some of those traditional things with us into the modern era, but you know, there's some things that are not allowed anymore.
100%, 100%.
Probably
because I joined Fulham 2 months and then got a scholar, so I wasn't with them that long really.
No. How were you discovered?
Oh, I used to play in a Battersea Youth Centre,
right.
Hope Street, and we used to play down there. And there was a few of us, me, another guy who made his debut for Fulham, Luke Cornwall.
Right.
He actually progressed. He made his debut and was like ahead of me, if you know what I mean. He was, because he was a striker. He'd come on, Kevin Keegan loved him. I'm on my debut before him, but then I didn't play again for ages. Yeah. I made my debut in like '96, but then didn't really do anything. Was like brought in. I think I was brought in because Paul Brooker had kind of played in the game before.
Right.
Remember Bozzy, Paul Brooker? Used to a lot of the fans. He was a fan's favourite, and we played Chelsea the day before Cambridge, and he kind of didn't run about a bit, and I think the manager dropped him from the bench and put me on the bench to show him, look, if you don't run about, you're not going to be involved. So
you wouldn't normally play
I kind of was. I got the good benefits.
Yeah,
we played the day before.
How many subs then? Was it 3?
By 3, no, I think it was 5. Yeah, 3. It might have been 3.
Yeah. And you came on for, was it
come on
10
like 7 minutes, yeah.
How were those 7 minutes?
No, I'm not going to lie, I was so nervous. Really? I only touched the ball once, closed someone down, showed someone inside, and that was it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But that was an experience though.
Yeah, it was. The best part, to be honest, is I'm standing actually outside the cottage cleaning someone's boots, and then we have a few of my pals now, a guy called Ryan Gray, Luke Cornwall, loads of the first years and the second years. And Corky's come up to me and went, "Oh, you?" I went, "Oh, what have I done now?" He went, "Oh, you're not with those mugs anymore." And he went, "Give him your boots." I threw my boots to my pal, but cleaned them for me. I thought I was in trouble, so I walked in the dressing room, I sat down, and all the first team players are looking at me, and I'm thinking, what's that? And he named the team, and I was on the bench. I was like,
oh man, that must have been such a buzz.
It was all kind of, wow, what's going on?
Was that the day? Or the day?
But then I got called big time throughout all the other second years.
There's worse nicknames than Big Time, mate.
No, but Big Time Charlie is not nice. Because once you get called a Big Time Charlie, it's not nice. I didn't like it. I hated it.
Really?
I got called Big Time all the time. Yeah.
Right. So you were discovered in Battersea. Where was it? Sorry, Battersea.
Battersea Sports Centre.
So what's it like then for you guys? How do you go about discovering players? Is it that sort of stuff? Are we talking? You go to youth centres?
To a certain extent, we still have a network of scouts. Was Sonny?
Sonny, yeah. There's a late guy called Ray Henry. He's passed away now, but him and Sonny were from Battersea, and Sonny used to do all the schools and the youth sides. Yeah. And you still go to an under-23 game, and he's still there. Sonny
comes regularly, and it's guys like him who historically have been pivotal to success. There's been a bad rap about some of the practices of scouting historically, but there are a lot of very, very good people out there who do a lot of sterling work, often voluntary or just for expenses. Now it's a bit more sophisticated, so the way in which we operate, we'll operate a pre-academy programme, which is for sort of 6, 7 and 8-year-olds before coming into the academy. So that's one pathway in, and we'll scour the local neighbourhood for talented youngsters. And at that level, you're not looking at the possibility of them being professional players, far from it. You're looking at those who can benefit from an experience of being part of the academy and getting professional coaching in a good environment that helps them to flourish. And then as you go through that journey, you'll have a whole series of other players that will come in, trialists we call them, and they'll be identified by a network of scouts that work around the country.
At others, maybe smaller clubs and places like that.
Could be, yeah. We'll scout other local clubs, professional clubs, junior clubs, and try hard to add to our talent pool that way.
And you had to trial, didn't you? So you were discovered in Battersea, but you had a trial at Ewell, was it?
Yeah, played a game. Yeah.
How did you?
I know where you're going with this.
Isn't there a story about how you got there? Because you didn't think you were going to get anything.
No, we got to Clapham Junction train station. There was about 5 of us. Got to Clapham Junction, and the trains were off.
Right.
So someone, it wasn't me to be fair, hold my hands up, suggested we get a cab. I'm like, all right then, I'll get a cab. So we got a black cab from Clapham Junction. Obviously, it's all the way up the A3. You get just I think we used to play. There's the fire brigade. You'll saying the fire
Banstead,
brigade.
was it?
Yeah, no, somewhere like that near Nescott College, round that way. Yeah, Nescott College up there. So we're in the cab, and in my head I'm thinking, I ain't got no money on me. I'm looking round, and we're all like kind of thinking, oh no, what have we done here? So literally, just got the cab, jumped out the cab, and just legged it. So run across the railway track.
Don't do that.
Yeah, run across the railway track, got into the changing rooms. A guy called, who was the manager at the time? It was Danny Jackhart. Guy who used to do a lot of work in the foundation here. And Alan Cork was there as well. So we thought, oh wow, like, we got here in time. Just about, we were late, threw our kit on, named the team. I think we were all playing. So as we run out into the ground, cab drivers literally running across the pitch.
Oh, mate.
Like that.
No way.
Yeah, I'm not going to say what he was saying, but I think Alan Cork pulled him to the side. And I thought, I'm done now. Got opportunity, gone. But then we played the game. I managed to play well, and they all got released and kept me on.
Wow.
So it could have been over before it even started.
Over,
yeah.
just because of the trains. I mean, also the fact, you jumped in a cab without any money and ran away.
Obviously, don't want the kids to do that.
Never do that,
No,
Never learn from this guy.
No, that's how it happened.
Yeah?
Who paid the bill?
Alan Cork, I think.
Did he?
Yeah, Alan Cork paid the bill. And he'll tell you the story as well. It was,
Really?
he went, the only reason we kept you on is because you ran about.
Really?
Yeah. There was a lot of ethos. Obviously, I must have had a little bit of talent back then, but there was a lot of ethos under that regime of Alan Cork, Mickey Adams, of hard work. That's still the basis now. If you don't work hard, you're not going to be a player. You can't cut corners in football.
Yeah.
A lot of people think you can, but you can't. If you don't put the work in, you can get away with it, but it will catch you up. You know what I mean? If you don't put the work in, can't cut no shortcuts in this game.
Well, there you go. So you managed to you get into the academy that way. But obviously, like I said, it's a very, very competitive industry. Even at the academy level, getting in the academy doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean you're guaranteed anything, really. So how is it? What's it like? How does a club prepare players for the chance and possibly not making it in football and then having to sort of step back and head into the real world? I mean, some of them will go into maybe lower league football or, I mean, how does a club prepare kids for that?
Well, we place a really huge amount of emphasis on this. So in addition to Lee Hagger's Department of Player Care, we've also got an education department led by Sean Cullen, who's a former teacher at Coombe School, Coombe Boys School, which is a school we have a very close association with at Monster Park. That's right, yeah, the Sessignons went there. Patrick Roberts, you mentioned earlier. It's really important that we do the maximum we can to ensure the players remain grounded whilst they're with us. They focus on their education and training. We're committed to that with them. We offer tuition support for those in school. We offer a full education programme for those who join us full-time at 16. But equally on the way out, the hardest thing unquestionably during the course of the year is sitting youngsters and their parents down and telling them, unfortunately, they're not going to make the step. I did the same with a youngster at Reading after the games on Saturday. And, most people crave you being straightforward and honest, and then what they hope is that you're going to be able to help them after that. It's akin to a bereavement process. We shouldn't ever underestimate that, and we have to work with them and how that operates. But there's a lot of work that goes into trying to help them, both in terms of their football progression, but also off the pitch.
Do you ever second guess yourself and think, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that, maybe we should have given him another 6 months or another year? Or
Yeah, there's been a few that have got away, and I think because you've got to be brave enough to step up to the plate and say, at this point we don't see you playing in our first team, so therefore, with that being the case, it's the right thing for you. I think about Iberieza, for example. He'd left Arsenal to come to us. It didn't work out with us. He then went to Millwall. He was a couple of years at Millwall. It didn't work out with them. And he went to Queen's Park Rangers as, by his own admission, sort of last gasp. And he wrote an article recently in the Standard where he admitted he needed to have the 3 releases before he had the one where he woke up and realised. Yeah. And what Sean's talking about, he's an incredibly talented player, but didn't have the work ethic.
Penny didn't drop, did it?
Sure, didn't have the drive. And you recognise that, therefore, our loss has ended up as QPR's gain.
Which is a shame it had to be QPR, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're well below us in the table.
Well, that's very true. Yeah, they're not a proper football club.
I think what is the hardest thing in the academy? Is it actually not letting the players get carried away, or the parents? Because it can seem nowadays it just seems to me that the parents try and, obviously there's loads but they try and live the dream through the kid, and sometimes that can be to the detriment of the kid. And do you have programs for the parents? Because sometimes they need to be educated, I think, more than the players.
We run an education program for parents. We utilise an independent organisation that comes in to run some sessions called Kaizen. We've been working for them for the best part of a decade, and they come in and they offer parent workshops and try to, if you like, translate the way in which the academy movement works. Because I understand that, you know, if I'm sitting with a parent and a player, they may be thinking, okay, I'm presenting the official line. Whereas if you get an independent organisation that's used to working with kids and parents across different sectors, then hopefully it gives a level of independence to that approach. But you're right, Sean, you know, that one of the biggest challenges is the wealth in the game at the moment means that understandably people in difficult circumstances may see an outlet for themselves. And you hear lots of stories now of players right at the top of the game who are subsidising members of their family, up to 80 members of the family, I'm hearing. That particularly for, you know, players who may have their origins in other countries and who've moved to the UK. And, you know, there's a lot of pressure on. We shouldn't ever underestimate that and the burden that places on those individuals at often very young ages. And, you know, I can think of an example of a player whose parents are both out of work and he literally is the meal ticket.
Right.
You know, and that's really, really difficult.
This is a young player.
Yeah, relatively so. Relatively, yeah. You know, and it's how we address that. It's difficult to tell, but all you would ask is the parents and surround themselves with the right advice, and that they hopefully pick up the messages of it's the hard work, honesty, and humility that get you through.
And when you're playing academy level, I mean, you must have had so many of your teammates leave and not make it into the first team. Was that hard for you as a player? And I mean, you must have seen what it did to them. Back then, before you even had this system and this help, there wouldn't have been any of that.
No, there wasn't. I think it was just basically a month before the end of the season, really, you'd know whether you're getting offered a contract or not. And there's a lot of players, obviously most of the players in the second year, the year above us, I think only one got taken on out of about 7, 8.
Wow.
There wasn't, well, our youth team wasn't as big as the academies now. It was literally 15, 16 players. That was it. So, but out of the players that, you know, that should have made it, was a guy, Luke Cornwall, should have gone on to do better things, but kind of fell out of love with the game. And it happens. Sometimes when you play football for so long, some people just don't have the motivation to do it. Whereas I saw it as, this was the only thing I'm good at, so I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket and go for it. Whereas others, you know, my mate, another guy, Ryan Gray, who was in the youth team as well, didn't actually make his first team debut, but was always up there, left winger, you know, good player. He got told, no, you're not getting taken on, and he went and worked in the post office for 6 months, and now he's been an estate agent for 20 years. So he's still best pals with him. So it is difficult, but not everyone makes it. That's the thing. I think how many really go on to make it?
Yeah, that's very true.
You see so many players that think they want to be a footballer and think, oh, I'll have a go at that, but they don't actually realise what it takes to become a player. And obviously you've got the platform for them to go and do that, but then at the end of the day it's down to the individual to, you know, take everything and use it to his best ability. Yeah, and that's that mental toughness is probably key.
There is a process of natural selection, and in the end the industry probably only needs about 4,000 professional players across the 92 professional clubs, so it's inevitable there's going to be a dropout. And what Sean's alluding to there, with a number of players who got to a point where they just couldn't get over a hurdle, and you know, increasingly now with the challenges of mental health with young people, we've got to try and support them in the knowledge that maybe there's a fragility out there. Yeah. And that's a new demand on all of us, I think, to take account.
I think it's really good that something's being done about it. And it sounds like Fulham are well on top of that, and you know, in that sense. Moving on from that now a bit, it's worth mentioning the current success at the moment there. Under 18s, top of their Premier League division. That's very exciting, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we don't set out to win cups and trophies at youth team level, but obviously winning's a great habit. Having success is good. We have in the past won the Premier League Under 18 Championship, which was great. look, I think we're all a little bit surprised that we're where we're at, because our squad is actually quite slim this year at under 18s, and we've had a few injuries and a few have stepped up into the first team environment like a Jay Stansfield. But I was at the game on Saturday against Reading, and what we've got in this group of players is they've got a real inner drive. Something I've noticed with them is that there's a number. I mean, I get in 7:15 most mornings, and there's some of them there before I am, and they're in the gym and they're doing a lot of the prehab work, and that's impressive because you haven't seen that on a regular basis previously. So there's a real professional approach from these guys, and it's not as is often the case at youth team level. We've got to score more than we concede because we usually concede a few.
Yeah.
But
the keepers aren't tall enough yet.
Well, not necessarily that. I think defending is an art that you acquire over time. Put it that way.
I'd say I get that.
No one wants to be a defender.
No one. Everyone wants to be the striker, don't they? The wing of the striker, the midfielder. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I want to talking of defenders, actually, an update on Marlon Fossey. A lot of people have been asking about him because I saw him a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago in a pre-season friendly in the first team. And man, he looks good. Like, he looked so good. Yep. And I remember saying at the time, I think I tweeted saying this guy, he's going first team. But obviously injury and a bad one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he played against Sampdoria, I think, at Aldershot. And
that was it. Aldershot, Sampdoria.
Terrific performance. I was at the game.
Brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was.
He looked so confident, sure himself, dangerous. Yeah.
Very distinctive because he's got a lot of hair.
He's got the hair going on. Yeah.
That's I need to borrow some of his, I think, probably. But Marlon is the embodiment of a player that shows a real resilience to be able to get back. In his case, not from a loss of form, but from 3 knee operations.
3 knee. I mean, at that age as well. How does he cope with that?
It's a good question. I mean, he's a laid-back guy, and but I know how much it's hurt him. But he's very dedicated to his recovery. He's played. He played for the under 23s yesterday, at Middlesbrough, and played over at Southport against Everton the previous week. So he's got some minutes under his belt now, and that's fantastic to see. But he knows that his journey is that much harder, and he has to work that much harder on his prevention to ensure that he can hopefully protect that knee and stay fit. Because when you have that type of challenge in your career. And he's an incredibly fit guy.
Yeah.
He hadn't had an injury history at all previously. So it's tough for him, but he's a determined boy.
Oh, fingers crossed. Like I said, it was that game, the Sampdoria game, and he just looked deadly. So I think he will. I've got a good feeling. Determined guy. So why do we go for an academy and pump all this money into academy where maybe a team like, say, Brentford don't do it?
So there's 14 professional clubs inside the M25 ring, and it's incredibly competitive with the amount of activity on your own doorstep. We took the conscious decision, Alistair, our chief exec, and the Khan family as our owners, that we wanted to go for Category 1 academy status, and that's the top level, and you get some privileges that go alongside that. We also get some responsibilities at competing at the highest level. We've put a lot of energy and effort and resource into that. Whereas in Brentford's case, I think they took a look at their programme and they thought they weren't sure they could compete.
Okay.
So they decided that they go a separate way. We actually attracted a number of the former Brentford Academy guys who've done pretty well with us, and trying to remain as top of the South West London charts as possible for youth.
Yeah, please hear it. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. But are there any players that maybe came in to look around the club? Any sort of players that got away, ones that have now become maybe superstars in the game that you maybe didn't roll the dice on?
Yeah, the one that comes to mind is Raheem Sterling.
Sterling.
So I went to watch Raheem play as a 14-year-old for Queen's Park Rangers against Wickham over at Bisham Abbey. After 10 minutes, I knew that he would be a player I would love to bring to Fulham. He knew a few of our players in his age group at the time. Went round to, with QPR's permission, by the way, to go and visit his family, Mum, Nadine, and Raheem round there at Wembley. You could step out their maisonette and see the arch. It was
amazing.
Quite bizarre in lots of respects. But there was some tough forces at work with Liverpool, so it was difficult.
Yeah.
And he eventually elected to go there. Which is disappointing. And another one, I suppose, that we also look at within our own team is Stephen Alzati, who's currently at At Brighton, we released Stephen. You know, He wasn't making great steps with us at the time. He left us, went to Leyton Orient, so went right down the pyramid into level 3 football, and has done really well to fight his way back to the Premier League with Brighton.
Yeah, but that's down. I suppose that would be down to him as a player, and probably him learning from being released.
Yeah, I mean, look, the hardest part of the role is assessing potential. You know, that's the key thing, and we won't get it right all the time. And you've got to have an honesty about you to look at the ones that you didn't get right and work out why, and move on from there.
So next up, we've got 3 tough but pretty winnable games. You've got Blackburn away, Millwall away, and then Barnsley at home. Now, Blackburn was our first home game of the season. We won that 2-0. What's your thoughts?
Tough place to go, but we're in a rich reign of form at the minute. I think we do well away from home. So
even at the Den, the Den's a tough place. Obviously.
I think if you've got aspirations of being in the top 2, these are places that you need to go and get a win. I think if you can take out of 3 games, if you can take, I'll be greedy and say 9 points, but are we capable of doing that? Yes. Are the team in a good rich run of form? Yes. So if we won 3 games, those 3 games, especially your home games, then, but like I said, like Huw said earlier, it's those 3 big games that that will come down to, and that month of is it March? Is it around that time?
March, yeah.
But you need to still be in it. But yeah, the team are capable enough to go there and get.
No, I agree. I think
wins.
Millwall's going to be an interesting one because we obviously now sort of famously broke records with our possession against them. We decimated them here. Like we just played them.
They didn't know whether to stick or twist. They weren't pressing or where they played. There was one of those games where everything was going well. We were moving the ball very quick. I think when we are playing well is when players are taking less time on the ball and we're moving it and we're dragging people out of positions and then the final product was there with either a good cross or a good finish. So it'll be a tough place to go. It'll be a different game. Obviously we'd have to go there and start the game well. Wherever you go in the Championship away from home, if you don't start the game well, it's hard to pick it up. So if we can go there, first 20 minutes dictate the game, they're going to obviously want to kick 7 bells out of us for what we did to them last time. But you take that and hopefully we can go there and win.
Fingers crossed. Barnsley as well at home, Huw. What's your thoughts on that? We obviously lost. That was our first game of the season. We lost at theirs, which was I don't think many predicted. Bit unlucky there, but a lot's changed since then. Yeah,
a lot of momentum for Barnsley. First game of the season coming up, having been promoted. I think it wasn't a great performance from us. It wasn't an easy fixture for that first game. We've been relegated, they've been promoted. You do see a number of those results early in the season. Now I think probably both teams have found probably a more rightful position, and I'd expect us to do well. One of the things that's interesting about these types of fixtures is we often find it tough against teams that are good counter-attacking teams because we have so much possession. When it breaks down, if teams hit us on the transition, on the turnover, and counter us, that can be tough. And actually, Barnsley have got a couple of players who are not bad at that. So the likes of Moet, for example, is good in the transition. But look, yes, it might be greedy to look for 3 wins, but I would be confident going in to all 3 of those games.
Yeah, agreed.
Barnsley have got good strike force. Obviously, ex-player Corley Woodrow, scoring goals. Ex-Portsmouth, is it Connor Chaplin? He's scoring goals. So they're capable, but like I say, you fancy us to beat anyone at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, they struggled defensively, Barnsley. Yeah. They sold, I think, virtually all the back 4 last year when they got promoted. So it's been tough for them defensively. They shipped a lot of goals, but they do carry a threat.
It'd be nice to see Corley return to the cottage as well. I think, although he struggled to really claim his place in the first team, he still, had some good games in a Fulham shirt.
Yeah, I mean, Corley always argued that every time he scored, having come off the bench, he never got a start afterwards, and it was always difficult for him to establish himself. And he had some bad luck at times with injuries. But Corley's a really good lad. He's and I know that his heart will be very much in coming back to Fulham and wanting Fulham to do well. Apart from that particular game,
yeah, of course.
He's a tremendous boy, and I'm pleased that he's finding his way. And in a team that struggled. His goal return's pretty good.
Yeah, he's doing very well there. So, pleased for him. Very, very pleased for him. Just hopefully he's not going to do that when he comes here again, but we'll see.
Sean can kick him in the tunnel.
Mate, that would be good, would you?
No, well, I don't know if I could catch him.
Yeah. Excellent. Right.
I can catch him.
Yeah, you'll be there. I've got faith. We'll put you right in the
give me
right
a chance. Yeah.
All right, good
stuff. Give me a 5-yard start.
Okay. We will. We'll arrange that for you. That's it for your Monday Night Fulham Fix. Thanks very much to our guest, as always, Sean Davis. Lovely to see you again,
Pleasure,
mate.
as always.
And Huw Jennings as well. Just before we go, we've got an FA Youth Cup coming up. What's the game? What can people
Yeah, we've got Man
that?
City away on Thursday evening at their sort of second stadium, which I think holds 15,000, and you know,
crazy,
sort
isn't
of,
it?
yeah. So it's going to be a great game. They're top of the northern section, the under-18s. We're top of the southern section, so really looking forward to it.
Fantastic stuff. Well, thank you very much, Huw Jennings, and thank you for putting up with the noise of the riverside as well. I know that coming in and out here, so there we go. It's all very exciting times, though. We're going to have a lovely stadium. We're going to be back in a couple of weeks with an all-new Monday Night Fulham Fix, but we're going to leave you with our highlight of the last couple of weeks, courtesy of Marek Rodak. See ya.
Poised to go with his right foot. It's not a bad effort, and Marek Rodak has to tip it over the bar. It was dead centre, thankfully. But not that far. Cross coming in again. Dennis Adoy's underneath this one. Couldn't direct the header. What a save. Marek Rodak has kept us in it, because that's a volley from Karim Grant that was flying into the net. He struck it beautifully. And Marek Rodak, for the second time, called into action to Karim Grant. Carlin Grant, I keep calling him Karim. He's on the ball again. Faced by Cyrus Christie, cuts onto his right foot. That's another really good save. I'm not sure if it took a deflection. Hasn't gone out for a corner, but Marek Rodak low down to his right-hand side, pushed it away. There's Grant again, and again Marek Rodak. Well, Grant is causing us all kinds of problems, Jamie, in the opening period. Chalobah's there for Huddersfield. Bakuna slides it out for Kachunga, and the ball into the box. Cyrus Christie got his head to it. It'll fall for Rowe Smith. We're on the back foot here as he pulls it back. The shot on target again. Marek Rodak is there.